Okay, welcome to this new unit that we call quadratic equations. Quadratic equations are written as this form. They're written as ax squared plus bx plus c. The first thing that we're going to learn is just, well, what does a quadratic equation look like? Here I have a graph, and just as a reminder, this is the x values on the left to right, while y goes up and down, just as the following. So here, we're going to use an example as y equals to possibly, we'll do x plus 1 squared. So this is a quadratic just because you can see here, this has a square similar to this one. This also has a square. And so what we're going to do is that when we have something like this that is squared, well, we have to figure out how to graph it. In order for us to graph it, we need to create this thing called a table. So in order for us to create a table, they have to have two things. They need to have the x values, which is the thing we're plugging in, and then lastly, our y values, the thing that we're getting out of it. Okay, so here I have my x and y values, and so what I need to do is I just need to figure out some values to plug in. Let's say, for example, I'm going to do these 5 values. And the reason why I do these 5 values is because they're fairly easy to plug in. So I'm going to take first this x equals to 2. How am I going to find out my y values? I'm simply going to replace x, which is right here, with its value. So in this case, x equals 2. So what would that look like? Well, I'm going to keep everything else the same. So I'm going to put parentheses, this plus 1, followed by the square. And instead of x, I'm going to put 2. Let's try that again. So in this case, I have parentheses again, plus 1 squared. And instead of writing x, I'm going to write down 1. The same will follow suit for the rest. So in this one, I would say plus 1 squared. And instead of x, I put 0. Then we keep on going. So we have this one, negative 1, plus 1, and that whole thing is squared. The last one is negative 2, so we do one last time. Negative 2 plus 1, followed by the square. Now, how are we supposed to evaluate this? Well, luckily, there are two ways you can do this. The first one is that you can use a calculator, or you can do this by hand. Let's say I just wanted to do this by hand, for the first one at least. So with this one, you can see here for 2 plus 1, 2 plus 1 can be seen as 3 squared. 3 squared can simply be 3 times 3. Well, 3 times 3 is simply 9. I'm going to do the rest just as the following. So this is going to be 4, this is going to be 1, this is going to be 0, and this one's going to be 1. And this was just all through the calculations. Okay, so I have my 5 dots. The only thing that I have to do now is I have to plot them. For instance, I have to look at what my x and y values are. I see here my first x value is at 2, my y value is at 9. So here on the graph, I'm going to find out where x equals to 2. So if I'm counting, I'm looking at x, the thing from left to right. I can see here that it's going to be on the right side because that's when it's positive. I see here that x should be here at 2. That's when x equals to 2. Based on that, I'm now going to look at my y value. My y value is at 9, so I'm going to go up 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It goes a little bit beyond, but I'm just going to draw it right here. Let's look at the next dot. The next dot is going to be when x equals to 1. Oops. When x equals to 1, and then when y equals to 4. Here is where x equals to 1, so I'm going to count up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I can somewhat see something happening. I can connect a few dots. Let's keep on going. X equals to 0, y equals to 1. Here's when x equals to 0 here in the middle, and y equals to 1 is right here. So notice that I'm using this based on what I see with the x value. Say, for instance, I have when x equals to negative 1. Okay, it's right here. But I notice that since it says y equals to 0, I have to ask myself, am I moving? The answer is no, because y equals to 0. So I'm going to keep the dot right here. Keep on going. X equals to negative 2. So here's when x equals to negative 2. And then I'm going to go up 1 because y equals to 1. You might notice something happening. It's starting to look like a curve. Matter of fact, with the quadratic equation, even though I didn't find out what this random value is, based on what I'm seeing, it almost looks like it's going to be kind of like a U shape. So here's like some logic. Why not just follow through? So for this next dot, I'm going to put it here at 4. So I'm going to draw a line up like this. And then lastly, I'm going to plot here up at 9. I'm just connecting the dots like this. And so that is what a parabola looks like. This is the example of x plus 1 squared. You're essentially plotting the different lines, hopefully getting some x and y values, so that it ultimately looks like a U. This one, for example, is positive because it's going upwards like this. And so that's one way that you can distinguish what a quadratic equation looks like. It's going as a U, and either goes fully up like this, or in another case, it can go down like this. And that's essentially how we graph.